Some people have asked, how is it going with your new place and you're moving? And I haven't really spoken about it too much. It was exciting and nice to come home. It is. It's nice to be home and away from institutionalized living. However, however good it might have been, however much um, I was provided for, and it was easy. And I couldn't have asked for a better Suite 101, which happened to be the number of the house I grew up in, too, 101. That was kind of neat. And it was easy going in, easy going out. I didn't so much partake in the actual institution, although I did and I appreciated it. I mostly focused going out my door to the street, and Midway was easy to get around. It was made to get around. It was a short distance to the store, a good store, and Amazon was a short distance, so was the post office. Even the doctor was not too far away. And once there was a dentist. And the border is not too far away, and so on. I have a lot of respect for Midway now. And Greenwood is more rough, harder, more hilly, a bit more run down, but it's home. And how it's going, wow, not as expected. Getting into the house was easy, and the ramp is good, and the paved driveway is excellent. I haven't really got out very much to meet people and make contacts, mostly because of the snow. Before, I just drove in the snow over it to wherever I was going to. Now I have to take the wheelchair, and it doesn't like to go in the snow. I thought it would ride on top of the snow, and it doesn't. Maybe when it's really cold and sanded, it would do that, but it's been a little bit soft, and it was a shock to me that I couldn't just roll over it. I get bogged down in it right away, and I'm stuck. I can't go. So my mobility has really, really been curtailed. At the beginning, I went to the post office and I went to the Amazon place, and there's some distance away, but I'm just older now and I find the distance is a bit long. But it's workable. And then the snow came and it wasn't workable anymore. I'm fortunate enough to have someone come with a truck and plow my driveway. And I could drive on the snow that he has plowed, the hard pack that's left underneath. I could drive to the street with the garbage and back again. And the second week I tried to go to church, and I came to the first corner, and that's as far as I got because there was too much slush and snow and built up muck from tires crushing snow and so on. I wasn't going to go anywhere that day. So I came back home, and then more snow came, and more snow came, and I find myself getting tired more. I can fall asleep in the wheelchair driving down the road. Yeah. And I tried to go to church a time or two, and no, it wasn't going to happen. And I have no shovels. The people that were here before took the shovels with them. My favorite shovel, my old shovel from way back, the best kind of shovel you can have, they took it. My axes, they took my axes too. These strange things. A garden hose had the ends cut off. Both ends of the garden hose were cut off. I don't understand that one. So there was some adjustment to make, and not having a shovel. Uh, but then something else happened. I don't know why it didn't happen the first 2 weeks I was here. It was quite busy. A lot of people came by and so on. But then I hit a spot when I couldn't get up. I couldn't get up from the bed. I got my feet on the floor. I pulled on the pole. I always pulled on the pole. That was my strength, pulling on the pole, and my feet got underneath me and pushed me up. And that's how that went. And I pulled on the pole, and my feet would not lift me. I was shocked. I was 3 days in a row. It was probably right up there on the 3 worst days of my life. I could not get up from the bed. No matter how hard I tried, I could not get up. And for the first time in my life, I felt afraid and alone. Alone because there was no one I could call. And afraid because if I lay down, I didn't know if I can get up again. I thought I'll just sleep in the chair, but of course that doesn't work very well. When you get more tired, you take a chance and you go lie down. But I couldn't get up. And I did get up, obviously, but it took 45 minutes. And if you got to go to the bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't have 45 minutes to try and get up. And I don't know how I did it in the end, but for 3 days it was like that. And I thought, what's going to happen to me if I can't take care of myself? That's what I felt like. I could not take care of myself. Like someone else is going to take care of me. What happens to me here? So that wasn't so great. And on the third day, I realized something, that previous to being here, the pole was 5 inches away from the bed. Somehow it got put in right next to the bed. And I had a good friend come over and move the pole 5 inches away from the bed. He had to rework it. And I thank him for that. At that point, I was now not only pulling up, I was pulling forward. And I don't know if the word fulcrum comes in there somewhere, but it gave me sort of a momentum. I was able to pull myself up and out, and if I put my feet in the right places, and that was the problem, I can't move my feet. So the feet have to land in the right place, or I'm in trouble. But I can get up again, and that changed everything. Life became possible again. That was really depressing. and I'm doing it differently now. I'm grabbing the wheelchair with my grabber and I'm bringing it close to the bed. And then when I pull on the pull and pull forward on the pull and end up on my feet, I go back into the wheelchair and then I drive the wheelchair to where I can more easily stand. It's just changed everything so much, and it was so depressing in those days. It was terrible. So there's that. And getting into bed is difficult. It was difficult before too, but it's sometimes painful. I gotta get that leg up on the bed, and the bad leg is the first one to go up, and it doesn't want to go. It says I'm not going. I don't do that. You have to find another way. So I gotta get the other leg sort of on the bed underneath it and push and so on and so on. But it works. I can get on and off the bed now. So that's a victory. But it was not pleasant for a few days. And it's been that way a lot. It's like it's fine and it's good and I'm happy and often content. And I look forward to things. But there are some areas that it's not the best yet. This house was modified for a crippled person with a walker. Except I don't use a walker anymore. I can't do that. I can't move my feet. So I have to use the wheelchair. And wheelchair is bigger than I thought it was compared to the size of the spaces I got to go to. And I really had to use my driving skills. The toilet is absurdly in the wrong place. But if I drive it right on the edge of this kind of bunch of stuff, the way into the shower, and anyway, I can drive it to the end of the bathroom by putting my head in the right place against the wall and pulling up and so on and so on. I can get on the toilet. It's just awkward. More awkward looking, I think, than it is in actually doing it. But that was not expected. And the shower, I'm working on that one. I have to walk down into it. It's all slopes down. And I got to transfer chairs. And I've got to be really careful to drive the wheelchair on the edge of the shower and then transfer over and not fall down. Really. Sometimes I don't take a shower because I'm afraid to even try. But when I have, it's worked out. It's just a little more difficult than. Well, you can still be an athlete when you're crippled, I guess. Yeah, so those are some problems that have come along. It's not set up for a wheelchair like the place I was at before. That was really well set up. Whoever set that up did some good thinking. Here I have to adapt, and that's going all right. I'm still adapting, and it's getting better all the time. But the things that I run into that are less than premium have made it difficult. But I'm still happy I made the move. I just have more challenges. And how do we get around this one? And then things happen, like the poles come apart from the ceiling when they're not supposed to, and stuff like that. Well, that could happen anywhere, but my goodness, they've offered some challenges. But all of them have been met, and everything's going okay. So if that answers your question, how's it going in your new place? That's sort of how it's going. And I am finding little things each day that I can do a bit better than before, and that's nice. And I guess the last part I'll tell you. Well, I'd say it's gotten warm, and yesterday I could go on the road, and I went across town to get my Amazon parcel, and I might as well go to the post office too, just because I could. And it was nice to be able to do that. But I think I'm kind of snowed in when it gets to be more wintry again. But not having a shovel, and for a short time not really having any help or seemingly hope, I reached out to Greenwood and said, I don't have any shovels. I need an old broken shovel. Somebody got a broken shovel. And the response I got back again was incredible. I had people lining up with shovels. I had people coming to shovel my driveway in twos. Heard you need your driveway shovel. We're here to do that. Well, the driveway was shoveled. That wasn't the problem. I just wanted a shovel, an old shovel. And I got at least two of those given to me. And it surprised me that it's hard to shovel hard packed snow. Once it's packed down, it's hard to get down to the pavement after that, which is why I want my old shovel back. And I tried for a long time, then it would snow, and so on. And last Sunday, I think that was the 14th, so something like that. On the Saturday before, I really worked at shoveling a pathway from, I'd already gotten halfway down the driveway, but I wanted a pathway as wide as a wheelchair all the way to the road, because the road was now bare. And that hard packed snow did not want to budge. And I worked on that with my little broken shovel for a long time. And just before dark, I broke through to the road. I mean, I still got stuck a lot because it wasn't that wide and it was slushy and so on. But the hard pack part was gone, and I made a few trips to the road and back and road and back and road and back. And then on Sunday morning, I was able to drive to church for the first time. It was, one month and 14 days I couldn't go to church. I couldn't get there. I determined to get that driveway shoveled. And I finally did, and I was so happy I got there. And all the roads were good going to the church. I tried to come back a different way, on a different road, and nope, can't go on that road. Way too much slush and stuff. And in that trip to church and back, I noticed that there's a lot of homeless people living any way they can. In this case, it was in trailers and mobile homes. There's nowhere else for them to go. That was quite noticeable to me. A lot of people were living in sort of summer trailers. Canada with all its wood and all its oil, and it can't house its people. There's something wrong with that picture, and it almost seems intentional. But that's getting away from things. Um, I was happy to get to church, really happy. That was a victory. That was an overcoming thing. I finished shoveling the driveway. I got the last of the snow out, and I could travel again. So, in answer to your question, how is it going there? That's how it's going there. Um, I hope that gives you some flavor of um, this latest chapter of life, which is getting near the last chapter, actually. I just really don't want any more obstacles to deal with. I look forward to summer quite a bit too, the mobility of it all. I was going to maybe go live in the Caribbean for a long time. Just take my money and go to the Caribbean or San El Salvador. I was thinking of going there, being warm all the time, and instead I ended up in Greenwood. That's close. Um, anyway, this is long. Good morning. That's how it's going here. If that's the question you have. Thank you. Love you. Bye.